The United States Marine Corps proudly presents wrestling techniques for the high school athlete, featuring the finest wrestling coaches and athletes in the world. Jeff Blatnick, 1984 Olympic gold medal winner. Dave Schultz, 1984 Olympic gold medal winner. Mark Schultz, 1984 Olympic gold medal winner. Rich Lorenzo, head coach, Penn State University. Bobby Douglas, head coach, Arizona State University. Greg Strobel, director of national teams, USA Wrestling. Jack Spain, trainer of national teams, USA Wrestling. Sergeant Greg Gibson, 1984 Olympic silver medal winner. And the rest of the United States Marine Corps wrestling team.
Hello, I'm Gunnery Sergeant Art Williams, coach of the United States Marine Corps wrestling team. We're here today to show you some proper techniques and warming up. I feel as though every wrestler should be properly warmed up before they step on the mat to do any type of wrestling. And we're going to have some of our wrestlers demonstrate some of the warm-ups that we use in our workout before we do any type of wrestling. This is the United States Marine Corps wrestling team. It is a 9-time Armed Forces Freestyle and Greco-Roman champion. It has won the National AAU Greco-Roman Championships 3 times. It has won the National USA Wrestling Greco-Roman Championships twice. It's probably one of the few wrestling teams in the United States that can say it has 10 world-class wrestlers or more on it. We specialize in freestyle, Greco-Roman, and Sambo. What they're doing now, we call as our warm-up. We're running, jumping, we're stretching out different parts of our body before we start wrestling. What they're trying to do is get their heartbeat up to over 120 per minute. And doing these various exercises, they're also stretching different parts of their muscles. You'll notice the different techniques they're using. Like this is called a skipping, where they're stretching the shoulders and the leg muscles. Okay, the jogging, which gets their heartbeats up. Now they're touching their heels, which is loosening up the knees. It's very important that you be loose before you start practicing. It cuts down on the injuries that are not due to wrestling, such as torn muscles or pulled muscles, dislocated shoulders, which can be eliminated mainly if you're properly warmed up. Most injuries are caused when a wrestler is not warmed up. He just steps on the mat and starts, wrestling around with a friend or something, and that's when most of the time you get a torn muscle or dislocated shoulder. This type of warm-up that we're demonstrating now, it's used approximately 15 to 20 minutes to get a real good warm-up. This is a karaoke inside. They'll loosen up the legs. They'll do each of these exercises, the karaoke, they do inside and they'll do them outside. This is the karaoke to the outside. This is the inside ankle drill they're using to loosen up the ankles. They'll go inside, outside ankles. They're walking on their toes. As you notice, they're loosening up practically every part of their body with just this one warm-up drill. Arm circles are to loosen up the shoulders to cut down on dislocated shoulders, torn muscles in the shoulders. They circle them forward, then backwards, then they swing them in front of them to loosen up, all their muscles, their upper body muscles. Okay, these are neck circles. They help loosen up your neck muscles, which is one of your most important parts on your body when you're wrestling is your neck. And you want that properly warmed up and loose. Yeah, this is the rib stretchers. They help loosen up your ribs, again, your upper body and your hips area. It's very important that you don't walk out on the mat and start out with doing a lot of real strenuous exercises like push-ups, sit-ups, unless you're properly warmed up, because your muscles are too tight when you first walk on the mat and you could possibly pull muscles or tear muscles. You notice now they're loosening up their wrists and their fingers. It's very important, as I say, when you're a wrestler, to have every part of your body warmed up. Okay, this is our next part of our warm-up. It's called stretching on the mat. He's doing what we call left over right. Help stretch out the back muscle, the leg muscles. They're doing 5 repetitions. They'll 4 count. They'll do it to both sides. Next exercise is what we call cherry pickers. For the same thing, the lower back, and the leg and the thigh muscle. Okay, this is trunk twisters. It's for the hip area, the ribs, and all that. It helps loosen up those. We do it one way to loosen up one side, then we reverse it and go the other way to do the other side. You got to warm up both sides of your body. Okay, this is what we call our cat stretching. It's stretching out the lower back again and the shoulder muscles.
3, 5. Rib stretchers, left foot, right hand.
This is what we call our rib stretchers. This helps stretches out the ribs of both sides. And notice the leg goes up, and you try to touch your hand. And loosen up your hip area also. So we do this exercise every morning before we practice, anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes, depending on the weather outside or how cold it is, to make sure that our wrestlers are properly warmed up. This is what we call the two-man stretching. This is stretching out the thigh muscle for the leg. It's important here to use two guys to stretch it out, because you can only stretch your body to a certain extent, where another partner can take it and he can stretch it past, you know, the pressure point where you would stop. Before the match, say each guy warms up before his weight class is called. Each wrestler warms up pretty much about 20 minutes before he's actually out there wrestling. This is another two-man stretching exercise where you're stretching the man's lower back and his leg muscles. This is another stretching the ribs and the hips out. As you notice, each man takes his turn stretching his partner out to make sure he's properly warmed up. This is what we call our back stretchers again, lower back. We're basically a Greco-Roman wrestling club, so it's very important that we have our backs loosen up. And a lot of our exercises go to the lower back areas or the hip areas or the rib areas, which is mainly upper body. A high school wrestling team or any club, I think a good half hour before practice, you know, it's a good warm-up for any wrestler. Gymnastics is very important in our style of wrestling, which is Greco-Roman. It helps teach the wrestler good mat awareness, confidence, and the technique of throwing. You'll have different moves. You have forward rolls, which helps the wrestler, you know, lose his dizziness. Normally, if you're rolling across the mat the first time, to get at the end, you become very dizzy. Okay, this is a backwards roll. The same exercise. It'll help teach good mat awareness and help you get rid of the dizziness. This is alternating shoulder roll. This exercise has helped teaches our wrestlers how to land and hit the mat safely if they're ever being thrown through the air. Okay, the reason we do the alternating shoulder roll is to help teach our wrestlers how to land if they're ever thrown through the air. You notice this is the shoulder throw. You notice the technique is the same as the alternating shoulder roll. It helps them learn how to break their fall when they hit the mat. As you notice, they're using their hands and their legs to break their fall. They're smashing that onto the mat first, and that absorbs all the shock. So you're not, when you hit, you're not in a stunned situation or you're injured yourself. Okay, this is the backward straddles. Okay, this is important. It also helps teach good mat awareness. Anytime you're rolling on your back or through the mat, it's very important that you know where you're at all times, especially in Greco-Roman wrestling. If you're a freestyle, if you're ever thrown through the air. These exercises also help the wrestler lose his fear of being thrown through the air. It helps build up his confidence. The cartwheel is also to get the man used to going through the air, good mat awareness, where he knows where he's at all times while he's moving through the air. A team could spend on this drill right here in itself about a good 15 to 20 minutes. I think before every practice, a wrestling team should do this gymnastics warm-up, because it gets your body used to going in all different directions, which, you know, you can end up getting thrown in a match and you can end up in the same position. And especially if you're a Greco-Roman wrestling club, all this technique is a good back exercise. This is called a head spring. This is called a neck kip. Helps build up the neck. The man is pushing off with just his neck and his stomach muscles. This is a round off to a split toe, which it just helps teach good mat awareness. Mostly all of these exercises, because they're very difficult for the individual to do when they first get here, is a confidence builder. This is called a ala. This is just an exercise that the guys invented it. We call it our Marine Corps own ala. It's just a morale booster and give you some credibility or self-pride when you're able to do it. It's very hard to learn, and once you accomplish it, then you can say you've accomplished one of the hardest exercises the Marine Corps has. The first exercise was the Ferris wheel. We have two types of backflips. This helps the man loses his fear of being thrown through the air. We'll demonstrate another backflip. All of these exercises are confidence builders. The last exercise of the buddy drill is called a reverse body lock. It helps teaches a man the proper arch and a Greco-Roman throw, and it helps strengthens the legs. In a lot of the high schools, we know that a lot of them don't have weight rooms, but you don't necessarily need weights to help build strength. All you need is a partner close to your weight, and we have different exercises that we can use to show you how to build strength. This is called a pull-ups. It helps build the shoulders, arms, and chest muscles. You notice the guy that's doing the pull-ups, he keeps a straight, erect body, and he pulls himself up using his arms and the shoulder muscle. Next exercise is upside down push-ups. Help build strong shoulder muscle. Next exercise is called a body curls. Help build up the arms and chest muscles again. You notice it's the same technique if you're in the weight room with a curl bar. Okay, the next exercise we're doing is the squats. Help build good, strong leg muscles. Same technique that you would use if you're in the weight room using weights. Only you're using a person about your weight. You should only go about parallel with your butt and your knees come together. You don't want to go too far down, where you can damage your knees or anything. The next exercise is what we call our flip over bridges. It helps the wrestlers build a strong neck, and help him to keep his shoulders off the mat. If he's ever thrown to his back in a wrestling mat, he'd be able to spring right up into a bridge. These exercises help him strengthen his neck. The next exercise is to help build up the lower back and the thigh and the leg muscles. The man is trying to spring up as high as he can while the other man is lifting him from the waist. The next exercise is a good morning exercise. Help build up the lower backs and leg muscles again. This is two-man bridge, another exercise to help build up the neck muscle. The extra weight is for the man to get used to somebody's being on him so he can bridge that weight up with his neck. In a match, normally you're in this position when a man is trying to pin you. So if you're ever thrown to the mat, you'd be able to spring right up on your neck into a bridge to avoid being pinned. You don't necessarily need weights to build strength. These are the exercises that we use to help build strength. All these exercises you've just seen is what we use to help make our program go, along with discipline and our self-respect. I feel as though it's very important for a wrestler, not only in the Marine Corps, but throughout high school and college, to have discipline and respect in itself. With self-respect, you're going to build the confidence and you're going to want to become a champion.
This tape is the fourth installment in a series of athletic tips for the high school athlete, made available to high school coaches and athletes by the United States Marine Corps. For additional tapes in this series, contact your local Marine Corps recruiter.